Hello, thank you for tuning in to another one of my videos. Today we are getting a glimpse of my watercolor painting process once again. The people over at Paul Rubens were so kind and offered to let me try their tube watercolor set, so I'll be talking a bit about the product as well as the process and meaning behind this piece. But yeah, I'm super excited to have these paints. It's so cool to be able to try new supplies and make new art, so thank you for your support. Let's get into it. First impressions, I was very excited to try these paints because of the great experience I had with their pan sets. You can find that video on my channel as well. I was impressed by the range of 24 colors, and once I started painting, I loved the pigmentation in these paints. As you know, I'm not really one to swatch colors because I kind of wing it and get to know my colors through the art making process, but the sticker on the tube is actually a good guide for how the paints will show up on paper. You really only need a small amount of paint to yield a huge amount of color, and they're easily reactivated on the palette, which makes this a nice supply to invest in. If you are an artist who is on the go, I would recommend the pan set over these, but both make for a really nice painting experience, and for these you could squeeze the paint into the pans as well, so that could be a good idea.
Sure. Yes, I saw her. And did you see the address she wrote on the newspaper? She was living in that cottage all by herself, I said very low. As long as I was... When I pressed B, different parts of the machine began to tremble, and a different kind of steam began to cloud from a different row of holes. To develop the empty room. Stayed quiet, and for... to nothing more than a pair of initials. Starting the business on them was on the very first block of the boulevard. Empty lots. Stretch coiled over them questioningly, and her green eyes underneath. Good coffee? Ellington asked me. That's the wrong question, Nail told me. You have the pollinating beast? Yes, I said. I can't trust hangfire. Wish it felt peaceful. Make yourself at home, he said. But I was already thinking. Last place I had seen was Monkey Brothers frowned at us. Watching Stained by the Seas, only firefighters tried to eat it.
I use a saturation boosted color correction on my videos, so the colors in real life are just a bit darker than the ones you see on screen, but they're so vibrant. My piece is so colorful in real life, I want to eat it. That's how intense the hues are. If you hear audiobooks in the clips, it's because I kept them in for some ambiance. But I was listening to the All the Wrong Questions series by Lemony Snicket and am currently halfway through the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I also read The Sprite and the Gardener, which is a comic. All great books. Love having a little book recommendation section in my videos. So anyway, I actually received 10 of these watercolor sets, so I was a bit overwhelmed at the amount. There are 9 of these bad boys just sitting under my bed at the moment. So I am thinking of doing a giveaway, but I want to give some to the art teacher at my old high school as well because she pays for a majority of the supplies out of pocket due to low funding, which I'm sure is true of many public schools, unfortunately. But also it'd be so cool to have a bunch of students try out these paints as well. I was also thinking of contacting other local high schools to see if their art department needs any of these. So I'm very grateful to the Paul Rubens team for their generosity. My art class in high school was one of the main reasons I could expand my skills because the access to the variety of art supplies, even if you have to share with other students, allowed me to experiment and grow. So I just want to give back, I'll probably also be bopping a few of these into classrooms at my uni. So yeah, those are my plans with these paints. Just wanted to be transparent about it. So don't worry, they will all be put to good use somewhere, somehow, and I will be sure to post updates on that.
Surveying her handiwork, and then I heard her open the door, just a crack. Stu tells me there's Beck's you to do yours. I will, Ellington said quietly. Just your age, or maybe a little older.
I've titled this piece Lifeline, which sounds a bit pretentious and also kind of stupid, but considering the blatant symbolism, I think it is a nice fit. The big idea for this piece was kind of center, symmetry, balance, etc. I knew I wanted a central figure to represent the self, but I planned for the focus of the painting to be on the hands with the wings, the angel hands, I guess. So I decided early on to only have the brightest yellows there. You'll see that none of the other parts of the piece are fully yellow like the hands are, so I think that helps it to stand out and draw the eye. They're meant to represent guidance, but there are a few theories here. They're extending a lifeline to the figure, aka the piece of ribbon, or 2, they're offering temptation, aka the cherry tied to the ribbon, or they're promising a reward that's unattainable. Could be all of these ideas, could be none of them. I don't know. The meaning shifts with the viewer, so it's kind of vague and very much up to interpretation. Back to my thoughts on the paint though. 10 out of 10, especially color-wise, which is very important to me, like over light fastness or anything. I think color is the main thing I focus on. My favorite ones were the neon pink, lavender color, and also the blues. There were parts of my piece I wanted to clean up as well, so I mixed some white ink with the watercolors, and that worked like a makeshift gouache. So I was able to have the pigmentation and some more opaqueness. So if you want to use that technique, feel free. So why the plants? They're all based on semi-common houseplants, but the scale has been increased, so they're looming over the figure. I wanted it to feel like a place that doesn't really exist in reality, where the self is lost in, something like that. Something about losing your sense of self in angel hands. But also I just wanted to paint plants. And during this process, I got really into plants, and now I am a proud plant parent for real, but that's besides the point. I've labeled each section of this video with the plant I was painting on screen, so if you want to know the names, there you go.
So when I was about to approach you, I was spotted. Moxie put a fresh color said darkly. Think of something, but it was Moxie. Her smile stopped. face, his body. Man after man, and their names began to blur in my head. Had shown him his place. Of what would come. For a second, our eyes held. I felt it was craftier than ever more. The fruits flew.
Halfway through the piece, I was bored of painting the same way and decided to work with negative space instead. So the plants on the right side are all like ghostly and defined through a dark background rather than like the definition on the leaves themselves. I think it looks pretty cool, but in the end, I should have planned the piece more because at the end, I felt like the piece was very off balance. So I had to like paint over one of the leaves I did in the beginning, which was very sad. Anyway, final thoughts about this piece. I've been working on this for a month-ish, like on and off, so I truly do not want to look at it anymore. I did not think it would take so long. Watercolor just takes a lot of layering and patience in the end, but overall, I do like this piece. I'm sure I'll like it after I haven't seen it every day for a few hours. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in another video. Bye!